You know that feeling when you're at Ross and you find the best gifts for way less? Like brand name sweaters, the coolest kids' toys, and plush dog beds? Get that feeling with every gift and save 20 to 60% off other retailers' prices. At Ross, yes, for less.
Hey, it's Austin James. If you're like me, trying to live your best life while living with diabetes, you can relate to worrying if you're doing a good job managing your diabetes. I use the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor to get real-time glucose readings and see the impact of every meal and activity to make better decisions. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor can help me live life with diabetes on my own terms, and it gives me more time for the things I love, like being a dad and a musician. Now this is progress. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your daily reminder that the Reds are top of the league. And Merry Christmas to you all. What a beautiful place to be. Top of the league, top of the Champions League, and in the semi-finals of the EFL Cup. Arne Slot's Reds are absolutely magic. We know that there are contract situations dominating the discourse around Liverpool right now. Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold. We are also aware that Ibu Konate has only 18 months left on his deal. However, preliminary talks are believed to have been very positive, and Ibu is very much open to signing a new long-term contract, which would be magnificent because at 25, he's the second best defender in the Premier League behind only Virgil van Dijk, and you want to ensure that we have him locked up long term. But I thought, with January around the way, and us in need of some additions, both in January and again next summer, as we try to build on this squad and fix the weak points in this squad, I thought it was worth having a look at what players are in interesting contract situations that maybe we could take advantage of. So we don't need to address goalkeeper. We have Alisson Becker, we have Caoimhín Kelleher, we have Vítězslav Jaros. We also have Georgi Mamardashvili. So Kelleher, one would assume, leaves in the summer of 2025. Mamardashvili comes in. We have Alisson, Mamardashvili, and Jaros. Jaros might go on loan, and maybe Harvey Davies is the third choice keeper, or Pitalug is the third choice keeper. And then Alisson will probably leave in 2026, and we'll be looking at Mamardashvili as the 1, Jaros as the 2, and maybe Mishur, the young goalkeeper, is the number 3. And that's the situation for a couple of years before Jaros moves on and Mishur takes over as number 2. And so on and so forth. We have the best outlook for goalkeepers over the next 5 years of any club in Europe. At right back, we've got Trent, we have Connor Bradley. So we've got a great starter and a good backup. Obviously, there is some talk about Trent's contract. So right back is absolutely a position that we're going to have to look at if he decides to leave. We will need to bring in a starting caliber right back, ideally a top class one, because we're losing a top class one. There's not too many top class right backs in world football. That's part of the problem. We know that there's a situation with Barcelona and Jules Koundé where they may be forced to sell him to try and recoup some money to enable them to have Dani Olmo for the rest of the season and beyond. They don't have a ton of sellable assets who they'd be willing to part ways with. But Koundé is apparently one because they do have in Fort a great young talent that they're, ready and willing to push behind as their long-term right back. So Koundé could be one because of the financial situation of Barcelona. But another could be Achraf Hakimi, who's the same age as Trent. I think he's a month younger than Trent. He's out of contract in 2026. He's got 18 months left. There has been a lot of talk that he's going to sign a new deal. As yet, that has not come to fruition. He has not signed a new deal yet. And I do wonder if we were to kick the tires on it in January, might PSG be willing to part with him come summer? So if Trent is leaving and we know we can go and get this guy and maybe we tap him up through his agent, maybe it's possible to look at him. Outside of him, there isn't really anybody in a contract situation or at a club with a financial situation that would make a ton of sense to come in and become the starter. Pedro Porro is I think, the alternative. But his situation would be, well, if Spurs don't make top four this year, he probably doesn't want to stick around and not play Champions League again. Spurs fans seem to be getting a little bit frustrated with him as well because his form has been very up and down this season. I do think that's part of their system and what it asks of players. And not having Romero next to him, I think, has been an issue for him as well this year. But I think he'd be a really good fit for us. We do need a left back. We all know we need a starting left back. Andy Robertson has declined sharply. Kostas Tsimikas has only ever really been good enough to be a backup. One of them should be moved on. In my opinion, it should be Robertson. He's older. He earns more money. He's never been a backup, and I don't know how he'd adapt to that. And neither of them are homegrown, so you don't gain that by keeping Robertson and selling Tsimikas. Kostas is happy as a backup with us. I'd look to move both on, in truth, but Robbo would be the one I'd move on first. Now, in the summer of 2026, Theo Hernandez is out of contract. He's got 18 months left. Now, he is 27, which is probably a little bit older than we'd like to buy. But he is arguably the best left back in the world. So maybe you could make an exception for him. He is an exceptional footballer. So maybe he's worth making that exception for. Rayan Aït-Nouri is also out of contract in 2026. He's a player we've tracked for a long time. He's a player we know really well. He's been in the Premier League for a long time now. He's 23, so that fits with the age profile that we'd be looking at. He's got a ton of experience. He's got huge room for growth as well. We've seen him put Mo Salah in a straitjacket, so we know he can be top class defensively. He's the same age now as Robbo was when we signed him, and he's a much better player now than Robbo was when we signed him. He's a better defender. He's better on the ball. So potentially, you get him, you bring him in, you put him next to Virgil, he develops into the best left back in the league. He's already in that conversation. He's, I think, the most talented left back in the league. He's certainly one that I think we should kick the tires on in January, because Wolves will need a sale to fund any incomings. So I think there's a possibility they might be open to parting with him. Certainly something we should look at in January. There's also Alphonso Davies, who's out of contract in 2025, like R3. If Theo Hernandez is not the best left back in the world, it's because it's Alphonso Davies. You could pick either. Davies is a freak of nature going forward with his pace, his power, his dribbling ability, the decision-making. Now, defensively, he does tend to lack a little bit, but that's more of an effort thing. I think you put him next to Virgil, I think that snaps him out of that. Because in his early years at Bayern, he was a very good defensive left-back. Fundamentally, he'd struggle, but he was so quick and so strong and so energetic that he just wrapped players up and they couldn't get away from him. Tyreek Mitchell's also at a contract in 2025. I don't know that he'd be one we'd look at. Probably a little bit below the level. Ferland Mendy's an excellent defensive left back, not great going forward. He's at a contract in 2025 as well. So there's a couple of options there for us. I think we'd all like one more centre back. We've got the two best in the league. We've got Joe, who's very, very good, and we've got Kwanzaa, who's still learning. He's still learning. And he's had a rough season this year. So could we maybe look to bring someone in and maybe loan Kwanzaa out to get him experience or whatever, or even just have him as the fifth and rotate him. And, Jones will play all across the back line anyway, so it would help to have another centre-back in there. Plus Joe and Ibu both have concerning injury track records, let's say. So, summer 2025, Buscagli is out of contract. I'm not a huge fan. Jonathan Tah is out of contract. Wouldn't be a huge fan. And after them, the best of the bunch is Victor Lindelof. So hard pass there. So what about someone who's out of contract in 2026, whose club might be open to a sale? Well, Ronald Araujo is out of contract in 2026. Ronald Araujo has the ability to be one of the best centre-backs in the world. The one knock on him is his availability. He has, like Ibu, injury issues. And he's in a situation at Barca where they need a sale. And maybe they look at him and think, you know what, we don't want to sell him, but given the injuries, it might be for the best. Now, his injury problems probably make him a non-starter for us. Good and all as he is, he's missed 22 games this season through injury. Last season, he missed 8. The season before, he missed 23. The season before, he missed 17. The season before that, he missed 21. He has a page 2 on his injury record, which is never good for a 25-year-old. But he's so talented that it's at least enticing to consider the possibility. Could we reunite Ibu with his former Leipzig teammate, Dayot Upamecano? One would only hope no. But Andreas Christensen could be of interest as an experienced, reliable, Premier League proven, homegrown player. Andreas Christensen could be of interest. Now, he is 28, but if you're getting him on the cheap, I think that's fine. Mark Guehi, I think he's too small to be a Liverpool centre-back. I do. I think he's too small. I think he'd be too expensive for what he is as a player. Hard pass on John Stones, hard pass on Sinisi. John Lucimi is interesting at Bologna. He's at least interesting. Mika Marmol at Las Palmas is interesting. Per Schurz is someone we've been linked with in the past. I don't think he's very good, but, you know. Mary Demirel, he might be a terrible set of lads. An upside play could be someone like Armel Bella-Kotchap, who we've been linked to in the past. We looked at him before he went to Southampton. Now, he had a really good start at Southampton, and then he dislocated his shoulder. And they didn't get it operated on. They let it heal, and it never healed properly. And he struggled through the remainder of that season. He went on loan to PSV, and he just couldn't get himself right. Went back to Southampton this past summer, and they sent him to get the shoulder surgery. So he hasn't played yet this year. But he's 23. He's 6'3". He's good in the air. He's rapid. He's good on the ball. As an upside play, he might be one to take a strong look at. There's a lot of potential there with him.
Add excitement to your holidays with Ohio Lottery Holiday Scratch-Offs, including $1 holiday cash and $5 holiday lucky times 10, or holiday bonus millions with a 200 times multiplier and a $2 million top prize. Plus, enjoy second chance drawings where you can win 10 times, 100 times, or 1,000 times the price of your ticket. Scratch-Offs make the perfect gift, and best of all, there's no wrapping required. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud. Help! Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Age, potential value, he might be the one to look at as an additional centre-back. Midfield. We have a need in defensive midfield. Ideally, you're looking at someone who can come in, be added to the four of Dom, Alexis, Curtis, and Gravenberch, and have it so that we now have 5 players to rotate through. And you can pick any 3 of the 5, and it will be a midfield that will work well. So, Yves Bissouma, no. The age will put us off anyway. Bentancur, I would say no. Samuel Ritchie at Torino, I've always been a fan. And I love his game. And I think his game should translate really well to the Premier League. But somebody was talking about him recently, and I was just immediately against it. And I couldn't figure out why. Because I do love his game. And I think it's because Sam Maguire has reprogrammed part of my head to just pull back on certain Italian players. Particularly Italian midfielders. But I think he could be someone that's well worth trying on in January. Because I don't think Torino want him to get 12 months left in his deal. And I don't think he's going to sign a new deal there. I think he's sick of playing in mid-table. He's far too good to be playing in mid-table. But you could see him and Gravenberch as a double pivot, him and Alexis as a double pivot, him and Curtis as a double pivot, and all of them would work well. And with 18 months left, I think that might be something we really look at in January, because there's potential value to be found there. Ruben Neves, I would say no. A lot of people will immediately say no to this name, and I don't really blame them, but I wouldn't be completely against Vitaly Janelt. I think he's a really good player. I think he's an interesting player, and he's very versatile. I wouldn't be completely against the idea of Vitaly Janelt. Outside of them, Thomas Handel of Vitória Guimarães in Portugal is interesting. Joris Chotard of Montpellier is very good, and again could be a bargain, but it's a big step up. Hugo Guillamon, if you just wanted an endo situational defensive midfield replacement, Hugo Guillamon could be a pick. That makes sense. But Samuel Ricci really does kind of jump out as someone that maybe that's a move we could look at. In terms of 2025 contracts, Kimmich would be a no, Norgard a no, Rosario's a no, Carlos Rodriguez a no, Ibrahima Diallo, he's a centre-back. Eric Pulger's too old. Jadson, no. Razvan Marin, no. Cesar Arrejo, no. No, there's nobody in 2025 that would make any sense for us, really. So you're looking at, I think, Samuel Ricci. And I think Janelt is worth a look. Just a look. Even as a squad. Like, if we need one more as it is, and if Endo and Morton both left, we brought in Ricci and Janelt, that could make sense. Could make sense. We don't really have any need for a central midfielder. We've got, like, Gravenberch is a central midfielder. So is Alexis, obviously, and so is Curtis. So we're good there. Zambo Anguissa is out of contract in 2025. And I love Zambo, but he's 29, so it's probably going to be a pass from us. And there's nobody else who's out of contract in 2025 that would be of any real interest to us. Jakob Moder is interesting, but he's also never fully recovered from that knee injury. 2026 brings a couple of names. So Frankie de Jong is the big name. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the world. I do. But there's obviously a lot of talent there. He's still living off the promise of what he could have been, though. But maybe Arne Slot figures it out with him. Maybe. On the cheap, could be worth considering. Quinton Timber's a player that Arne's had at Feyenoord. He's a player Arne loved at Feyenoord. He would give us something different in midfield. Like he's in central midfield, he's a real powerhouse. So he's worth a look anyway. Rabiot, no. Schlager, no. De Paul, I love, but he's too old. Amadou Haidara could be interesting. Frank Kessie, no. Shaparanko, no. No, that's pretty much it. Is there an attacking midfielder worth considering who, if we were bringing in a 6 and we wanted 6 midfielders, the other one to bring in is an attacking midfielder to rotate with Dom. 2026 offers up nothing, really. Lorenzo Pellegrini, he's 28 already. No, that's a very, very disappointing crop of attacking midfielders that will be out of contract in 2026. We'll have a look at 2025. Angel Gomes is definitely a no, and all of the rest of them would be hard passes. Right. So what about right wing? As, you know, Chiesa is probably considered our backup right winger. I think Harvey's also considered a backup right winger. But is there anybody else out there that, you know, maybe is a bit of an improvement if we were to sell Diaz? Could Chiesa go to the left and we bring in a right-sided player? 2025 doesn't really offer anybody other than Leroy Sané. And we're not going to sign Leroy Sané given his age and the wages that he'd want. So there's nobody and we're not signing Adama Traore. 2026, though, Brian and Bummel. Now, he's too good to be a backup, really. And he likely wouldn't accept it. But he is a cracking player. And we did talk about him as a 9 option in the transfer committee pod. So he's at least worth considering. He's definitely someone the club have liked for a long time. I don't think we'd try Trincao. Shagrova at Lille is very fun. Very, very fun. And maybe he's someone that the club would take a look at. It's unlikely, but maybe. There is a significant gap between Mo and the rest of our forwards. There's a significant gap between Mo and every other forward. But if we're looking to improve the other positions in the front three, if Darwin's to leave, if Jota's to leave with the injuries, maybe we cash in. If Diaz is to leave, given his contract situation, and if Cody decides to move on or we decide to move him on, what are the left wingers and number 9s are out there? 2025 doesn't offer us any left wing options. There's nobody out of contract in 2025 that you would throw a contract at, sign them to it, and then maybe go to the club and say, well, look, they're joining us for free, so you can have a small fee now. You can have 10 million now, or you can have nothing in the summer. It's up to you. 2026, the pick of the bunch is Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's really doing well to rebuild his career at Forest. But it's still a no. There's nobody there. So the best thing to do is just go and buy Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. Antonio Conte was the Spurs manager when Spurs tried to sign Diaz. Maybe there's a Diaz and cash deal. I know that those happen more than you think. Maybe there is a deal there to be had where they take Diaz for, I don't know, 50. And we give them 90 for Kvaratskhelia. But in actuality, we're giving them Diaz and 40. I think that's a good deal. I think he's the best left-wing option that there is for us, because the only one better than him in the world is Vinny Jr. You're not getting him. And no, Rafael Leao is not better than Kvicha Kvaratskhelia. He just isn't. Maybe on FIFA, but in reality, no. So what about number 9s? There has to be a number 9 out there who could do a job for us. We'll check 2025 first. I don't think there's anybody, but it's worth having a look. Jonathan David. Now, look, if we were making a decision that we were going to sell Darwin and Jota, we were going to move on from both of them. Darwin because it's just, it's time, and Jota because of the injuries. Then Jonathan David as a Jota replacement, out of contract in the summer, that could be perfect. That really could be perfect. Maybe you go to the 2 Canadian boys and say, look, do you want to play together at club level? You're great friends. You're the 2 star names in your country from a footballing perspective. Why don't you team up at Liverpool and go and get Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David? Now, then, I know Jonathan David said before he wasn't overly keen on Liverpool as a kid growing up. That's fine. That's fine. But, what's best for your career, son? Liverpool. So, get your shit together. 2026. There's a couple of interesting ones here. So Dusan Vlahovic is one. He's a little bit limited, but he is a very good player. So he's worth at least a look. Johan Viss is good, but he's 28, and so it's not going to be a thing. Rodrigo Muniz is interesting at Fulham. And he's not having a great season, but he is a very good player. Mateta's not good enough for us. And to be honest, I don't think anybody else on that list is either. I really don't think they are. But, as you can see, there are a number of players from most positions that are at least worth kicking the tires on in January. Players out of contract in 2025 and 2026, or players at clubs with financial issues, or players at clubs with financial issues who are also out of contract in 25 or 26. That's where you'll find value. And that's what we're all about. So, even if Trent leaves, the sky will not fall and we will find somebody. They will not be Trent, but they will be good. They will be good. Potentially great. You know, Hakimi is a great right back. Oro potentially could be great in the right team with the right manager. And I think this is the right manager for most players because he's a genius. He is an absolute genius who was created in a lab and just, you know, incubated in the Netherlands until we were ready to come and snatch him. In terms of news, on AnfieldIndex.com, there is a piece about the Leicester game. There's a piece about Mo. There is a piece about Zubimendi and January. There's a piece about what Gravenberch had to say after the Spurs game. And then there is a match review of that Spurs game. Podcast-wise, there is a new Under the Pressure. It is Cy Brundish, Phil Barker, and Hamza. There is a new transfer show with Dave Davis and Trev Downey, or Trev Downey and Dave Davis, as the banner reads. Nav and Talent always goes first on the banners. There is the Media Matters with Dave Davis and David Lynch, and there's a few more to come over the next few days. We've also recorded Scouted this morning, which covers both Leicester and West Ham, because there just won't be time to record in the interim. There will be a post-match Raw after Leicester, and then we will be back to regularly scheduled programming towards the end of the week and the weeks beyond. So that will do me for today. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great couple of days. And I will be back on Saturday. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Experience holiday cheer at Tanger Outlets with savings up to 70% off your favorite brands. From fragrances to accessories and the latest styles, discover the best gifts for everyone on your list. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Coach, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and so many more. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Plan your trip at Tanger.com.